Hey students, welcome back. You know that this week we're talking all about what happens in different types of weather. Take a look at this picture. There's a lot of rain coming down from the sky, and it looks like the flowers really like the rain. You also might need to wear different clothes if it's raining really hard outside. Now that's just a couple things that you might have to do if it rains. And rain is just one type of weather. In a minute, we're going to read a really fun folk tale. A folk tale is a story that's been around for a while. And remember, a lot of times, folk tales try to teach us a lesson. I can't wait to read it. But before we read, let's review the vocabulary words we learned before and then learn 3 more words. All right, so the words that we already learned were predict. Do you remember the word predict? The word predict means to make a guess about what's going to happen in the future. In this picture, the mom predicts that the girl will like that book. Predict. And then the other word that we looked at was temperature. That's a big one. Say it with me one time. Temperature. The temperature tells how hot or cold something is. And you might see something like this called a thermometer that shows the temperature. Now, we talked about those words already, but we have 3 more words to learn. Wait a minute, where'd they go? Oh, our friend, Manny the monster has them. Thanks, Manny. Now, are you gonna go take a nap? Sounds good to me. See you later. All right, whoa, he gave us 3 new words. I can't wait to find out what they mean. The first word is clever. Say it once with me, clever. If you have a clever idea, you have a smart idea. In this picture, it's showing the clever bird, the smart bird, putting the ball into the basket. That bird is clever. Let's clap that word out one time. Clever. That's a fun word to say. So if you have a clever idea, you have a smart idea. The next word is, this is a tricky one. Drought. Can you say that with me? Drought. Let's clap it out. Drought. Only 1 syllable in that word. A drought is a long period of time with no rain. This picture is showing how the dirt looks after a long time with no rain. It gets all cracked. Kind of like in that story we read the other day. So a drought is a long time with no rain. The last word we're going to learn before we read our folktale is storm. During a storm, there are strong winds, heavy rain, or maybe even snow. This picture is showing a kid walking through a big puddle after a big rainstorm when a lot of rain came down. What would our town look like after a big, big rainstorm? I wonder if we would have a lot of puddles. Let's say that word once together. Storm. Now let's clap it. Storm. Another one with only 1 beat. Pretty neat. I just made some rhyming words. Beat, neat. So cool to think about rhyming words. All right, now that we know those vocabulary words, we can listen for them in the folktale that we're about to read. Okay, are you ready to read? I'm really excited. We're going to read some story cards for our folktale, and we know that the title on the story cards is actually here on the back. Let's read it together. The Frog and the Locust. And I do notice, as there should be, there are spaces between the words. As we read, let's think too. How do the animals in the story that live near the creek finally get a different type of weather? Let's see if we can read and answer that question. Listen for the vocabulary words too. Here we go. The frog and the locust. Pakua was a little green frog. She lived next to a creek in the forest. One summer, there was a drought for many weeks. Everything was hot and dusty, even the trees. Without rain to keep it flowing, the creek was starting to dry up. It shrank into a row of muddy puddles. Many forest creatures left their homes to search for water, but Pakua stayed near her puddle. "I feel too hot to do anything," Pakua moaned, "but I must get help from the rain god. If it doesn't rain soon, we will all be in trouble." So Pakua began to sing. As she croaked and bellowed, her throat grew round like a bubble. But her song was not loud enough. The rain god high up in the sky could not hear her. How interesting. Mahu was a locust, so that's a type of insect. He lived in the trees along the creek. One day, he heard a frog singing a song that he had never heard before. It was Pakua's rain song. Like Pakua, Mahu was lazy from the high temperature. He felt too tired to even lift a single wing. But he was curious about Pakua's song, so he flew to a branch that hung over her puddle. "What are you doing, frog?" asked Mahu. "I am singing to the rain god," answered Pakua. "I am asking him to send us water from the sky." "That is a very good idea," said Mahu. "It is terribly hot and dry. If anyone can help us, the rain god can. Let me help." "That would be wonderful," replied Pakua. So Mahu began to sing too. He rubbed his wings and feet together and made a sound like a shaking rattle. But even together, the frog and the locust songs were not loud enough to catch the attention of the rain god. Pakua and Mahu's duet made a loud noise, so loud that other animals started to hear them. At the next puddle, another frog and another locust decided to find out what was going on. One hopped and the other flew over to Pakua and Mahu's puddle. "What are you two doing?" they asked. Pakua and Mahu stopped their singing long enough to answer. "We are singing to the rain god," responded Pakua. "We are asking him to send us water from the sky," added Mahu. Then they went back to singing. "Now isn't that a clever idea?" said the other locust to the frog. "I predict that if we sing along, the rain god might hear the four of us." "We're going to help you," the second frog said to Pakua and Mahu. She and the locust returned to their puddle and started singing. Back at their own puddle, Pakua and Mahu heard their song getting stronger. "I hope this works," Pakua thought. "This might be our last chance for the rain god to hear our song." What do you predict? Do you think that their song will help bring rain? Let's keep reading and find out. Still, there was no response from the rain god. But then something amazing happened. Pakua and Mahu's song had reached every animal in the creek. Look at all the animals we can see now coming out. Up and down the creek, more locusts and frogs heard the rain song and joined in. Puddle by puddle, one by one, they began to chirp, snap, rattle, and croak. Before long, the spirited song of hundreds of frogs and locusts filled the forest and traveled high up into the sky. Suddenly, the rain god woke up from his long nap. How can I get any sleep with that loud noise going on? He complained. Then the rain god looked down on his forest and its creatures. He saw the dusty trees, the dried up creek, and the thirsty animals. And at once he knew that the song of the frogs and the locusts was a call for help. So the rain god gathered up his biggest rain clouds and went to work. Far below, Paku and Mahu saw the clouds gather overhead. They felt the first drops of water. And as the storm came and rain filled up the creek, they sang with joy. What an interesting story. And we know that folktales are made up stories, so they're not true, but they do try to teach us a lesson. I wonder what the lesson was in this story. Remember, we were thinking about how the animals who lived near the creek finally got the weather to change. What did they do? They started singing, but it wasn't enough until they worked together. That's right. I remember from another story we read that when you work together, you can make things happen. Now I wonder, what do you think would happen if we did not get any rain? What would happen to the animals, the rivers, the lakes, or even us? Why is rain important, and why do we need it? What do you like to do when it rains?